So with more than 15 plus years of diverse experience in the IT industry, a leader and an inspiration for all the young women, currently she is the Director, Industry Development, Data Security Council of India. I welcome Priya Madhavan.
Everybody, I think we had very interesting sessions since morning. We had, I was not able to attend Mr. Mohit's session, but I did hear the hackathon relevance that he had for recruitment. I think that's very interesting. I think should be probably followed at many places. Then we had Vinod, who scared all of us, I guess, with his presentation. And then we had Dilip having very succulently given about what should be the things that you should go and control. Because security, you say, yes, I want to make everything secure and ask for a huge budget. Your CFO is not going to give you a huge budget. So it's important to identify your crown jewels and put controls where you really need to have, and then have a proper threat intelligence to handle the whole scenario. So just before I start off, as you said, Priya Madhavan, currently with DSCI. I'm part of the industry development team of DSCI. How many of you all know what DSCI is? If you could please raise your hand. I think it's a fairly small percentage, about less than 10% of people know DSCI. So I'll spend a few minutes on letting you all know what DSCI is all about, and then I'll talk about the specific agenda of industry development initiative out of DSCI. So the agenda here is overview of DSCI and what the industry development agenda for DSCI means. So we have DSCI stands for Digital Security Council of India. It's a not-for-profit industry body. It's a NASSCOM initiative. And the focus of this group is to ensure the cyberspace is safe, secure. And we from DSCI have 6 guiding principles. We come up with best practices and standards. We come up with thought leadership, policy advocacy, capability building, industry development. So these are our big pictures of what we could do for the government to ensure that we have a safe, secure cyberspace. So DSCI started in 2008, and we are completing about 10 years now. August 24th is the 10th anniversary celebration. So when we started off, it was between 2008 and 2012, it was more content oriented. There was a lot of focus went on building content, coming up with DSF, DSCI security framework, DPF, DSCI privacy framework. So a lot of time went into content development. We were also more as a security research organization. That was the focus of the organization during that time. It still continues, but that was the primary focus. Between 2012 and 2015, the focus was on internet cybersecurity, and that was mainly because we had everywhere, the adoption for cybersecurity became so much, and every country was seeing cybersecurity as a threat. So we from India needed to know how we are going to protect our frontiers, securing our frontiers. So cybersecurity was the focus between 2012 and 2015. And currently the focus is industry building, which I will delve deeper as we go by. So content, there are a lot of contents. I think if you go to the website, you could see there are a lot of contents that DSCI has put out, which is very, very relevant. There is the recent content that has been added is for the skills development. We'll talk about it over the course of my slide. There are 3 big events that happens from DSCI. We have the AISS event, which the eminent leaders of our country would like to call it to be an equivalent of RSA going forward. Then we have the best practices meet that happens in Bangalore. Then there is the FinSec conclave that happens in April. These are fixed events. DCPLA and DCPP. This apparently are 2 certification courses, and it seems in one of the ISACA questions they had asked about these 2, so we were quite happy that this has been recognized in the ISACA forum also. We have an innovation box, DSCI innovation box. This is an event that happens in our AISS. It's a very interesting event where a small amount of startups are shortlisted, and they are asked to make a presentation, and they make a presentation in front of a jury, and there is live audience. The live audience are given voting machine, and jury is also there. So 70% weightage for the jury and 30% for the audience, and the winners are selected. So that's very interesting activity that we do in our ASS event. And we have something called a Segamathon. Very recently I understood what Segamathon stands for, Security Game Hackathon. So that's an event that happens. So as a gaming solution, using gaming as a solution, find a resolution for your security problem. There are quite a few projects that we are working on. The recent one that will come out is the Tech Repository project. This will be like the Google for the products that are made in India, the security products that are going to be made in India. There are quite a few campaigns that we have done, and the recent one was a digital payment security campaign that happened with the PayPal, which clearly tells what are the limitations that you need to be aware of as an end user. Fine, fantastic. Everything is being digital India, digitized, but if the user is not aware of how to use his device safe and secure, then that's an issue. So that's the awareness program that came out with the PayPal. Cyber Labs is an activity that we are doing for the law enforcement organization. So there were about 8 cyber labs till about 2015, Bangalore, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Haryana, Pune, and Thane. But currently we are only doing it in Bangalore. We have folks within our team who are actually educating the law enforcement agency. So they train the policemen, they train the lawyers, and they train the people who are involved in this process on how to go about doing cyber crime investigation. So it's a big initiative that DSCI is doing. And we have members across the board. So initially it was IT BPM members, then it was IT BPM banking, then we have even the industry sectors like the oil, energy, power, telecom, security product company, manufacturing. So if you look at NASSCOM members, it's predominantly IT BPM members, whereas we have the members across the user organization. So what is it we have been doing to the policy? There are quite a bit. So, but what I want to end is, I'm sure all of you all are following, July 27th is when the data privacy draft bill was passed, and we had our CEO as part of the committee as part of the draft bill. So these are the various things that we are doing with the government as part of DSCI. So when you look at overall, so we do aggregation level capabilities. So we said cyber crime investigation, there are about 65,000 people we have trained on cyber crime. We heard Vinod talk about assimilating information. So we worked with helping the banking industry set up the ISAC for India. Then we are helping in skill building. We are also doing the industry development exercise, which I will go through a little more deeper as we go down in my session. We do the collective learning cross-sectoral platforms. So we have member organizations from an ONGC and a retail and a Airtel share their ideas. So that kind of cross-sectorial platforms we create. Then we have about 13 DSCI chapters and 2,500 members. Then we play a very important role in policy and thought leadership, and these are the various things that we are doing as part of that. Quick things in terms of number, there are over 70 plus reports and papers that's been published. For a person like me who just joined the company about a month back, I was just impressed with the amount of work that they have done. And the team is extremely small. I'm not even going to tell the size of the team. It's a fairly small team which has gone about and done this work. So 70 plus reports, and about 7,500 professionals are associated with this very closely, and there are about 500 plus DCP, DCPP and DCLA certified professionals, and we are closely working with 100 plus startup companies in cybersecurity. So that's a brief overview of what DSCI is. Now let's come to the background of why this industry development initiative was taken as a focus area from DSCI. During the NASSCOM's 25th anniversary celebration in 2014, it was just then Prime Minister Modi, we had Modi ji as takeover as Prime Minister. He said, India has done excellent in terms of software, services, and product. We would like India to become a global hub for cybersecurity. So whatever it takes, go ahead and do it, and India should become the global leader for cybersecurity by 2025. Based on that, there was a task force that was set up. NASSCOM and DSCI formed the core task force. It's called Cybersecurity Task Force. It was headed by Rajendra S. Pawar, who was the chairman founder of NIIT. This task force worked with many industry leaders and experts, and then they came up with what should be the focus area for India to become a global leader in cybersecurity. And PwC worked very closely, and they came up with a roadmap of the cybersecurity industry of India. And our group, Industry Development Group of DSCI, is essentially the implementation team to meet the 2025 vision of India's cybersecurity. So what does this say? What does the Cybersecurity Task Force say? Cybersecurity Task Force says that there are about 100 startups today in security. I'm sure it must be quite a few surprise for all of you. More than 100 startup companies working on cybersecurity products in India. The products are developed in India. The plan is this should become up to 1,000 startup products by 2025, so almost a 10 times growth. That's the vision that is laid out for this. The second thing is there are about 150K security professionals, and even then there is always a dearth for security professionals, and we always hear, in fact, Bruce Schneiser's comment, which Vinod said, I can't agree more. Security, everything cannot be automated. You do need to have people plus technology. Just technology is not going to work, so the demand for people in security is always going to be there. So 150K is what it is right now. The demand is we have to generate about 1 million cybersecurity skilled people by 2025. The market today is about 4 to 5 billion in security services and product. This is essentially like today's India's IT revenue is about 170 billion. So about 2 to 3% of that is security services. What the expectation is, India's revenue in IT will be about 350 billion by 2025. 10% of that should be security, which is a fairly big number, but at least 7 to 8% is a good ask. So that is the expectation that is laid out for all of us in India to make India a cybersecure leader in the world. So how are we going to make this happen? So we are looking at a triple helix model. It's very closely working with the government, with the industry, and the academia. The government is going to help with the policy that are going to be conducive, and government itself is going to be a big consumer of cybersecurity services, and they are going to be the enabler in terms of commercialization of security. So what is happening with respect to government in cybersecurity? So these are few initiatives which I would like to talk about. So we have Smart Cities initiative that is happening, and L&T here is actively working on smart city projects for various cities of India. And unfortunately, sorry to quote this, but the smart city projects are probably not focusing so much on security today. The RFPs today do not have enough information on security requirement. So one of the initiatives that we, as part of DSCI, is going to do is we're going to help come up with a template of saying, what are the minimum things that you should have in terms of security when you go in for smart city? The smart city solution could be a variety. Some people would just say smart lighting. Some people would say probably smart sensors. Some people should say smart weather, smart Wi-Fi, whatever it is. But whatever solution they go, what should be the minimum security requirement should be there is something that we are working. Cybersecurity policy has been laid out for 3 states. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Haryana have come up with cybersecurity policy. We would like to again ensure that there is a template that is there where the states can pick and choose what are available and then roll it out in a much quicker fashion across other states. We are working very closely with the regulatory guidelines that you saw, and as I said, ISAC is something that we are working with the banking. As part of the CSTF recommendation, it came out very clearly that the organizations which are having more than 1,000 crore rupees turnover should have a mandatory CISO. So this is a mandate that has been given by the CSTI to the government, and the government should, I think, will soon be implementing. So that will be the need for CISOs across the organization. And also every critical infrastructure industry, every CII industry should talk about what they are doing in security in their annual report. So that is a mandate that's been given out. Again, another very important advisory. Today, I don't know how many companies, what percentage of budget is actually laid out for security. The recommendation that's given is 10% of the budget, IT budget, should go for security. I'm not sure how many companies are actually doing that today. This is another very important thing which I said, commercialization of security products. So TDB is the Technology Development Board. It's part of the DST, Department of Science and Technology of the government. So we've been working with the TDB group to see how they can help commercialize cybersecurity technology. And I'm not sure how many of you all seen, on March of this year, there was a call for proposal rolled out. I see today there's a call for proposal rolled out by the Defense Organization. But in March, there was a call for proposal rolled out to call in people who want to innovate on cybersecurity. And what would TDB do is they basically would help in soft loans. They would give about a loan at 5% simple interest. That's the kind of support that they're going to be giving. And if the solution is so critically important for government, then they would probably get complete grant. And today, there are about 20 organizations which has been shortlisted, and there'll be further rounds of shortlist, and then the selected organizations would get the fund or the loan to commercialize their idea. And India is going to become a $1 trillion market, and cybersecurity is, of course, a very key area. MeitY is, again, Ministry of Electronics and IT. In fact, this just got kind of formalized on Friday. So there's going to be a grand challenge that is going to be announced very soon. And this grand challenge, the winner is going to get a reasonable amount of money, fairly reasonable amount of money to help develop their solution. So this is a mechanism in which the government is actually helping the startup companies get the proper use case and then develop the use case for commercial use. PMA means preferential market access. This draft bill got laid out on July 2nd, which means that the Indian organizations actually get some leeway if they procure software products produced in India. So this is a good initiative, but we need to see the pitfalls of it. It's not that the software products that we are consuming from other markets are going to go away. It would take fairly substantial amount of time before Indian products mature in all aspects, but there could be key aspects where Indian products are already mature, which could be the products of choice by the organizations in India. So these are few things that we are doing with the government. With the industry, what we are doing with the industry is, when we look at the industry, we look at it in multiple ways. We look at it PSU, government PSUs. We look at them as defense sectors, state governments, user organization, large enterprises, SMBs, system integrators, multinational companies set up in India, and the GCCs, Global Capability Centers. So these, and niche security services and product vendors. So these are the different groups when we say industry. And interestingly, between 2015 to 2018, there are about 100 plus software products made in India. Quite a few of them have got VC investments. So I did meet one person here today who's working in product. I don't know how many of you all are doing. There are VC investments happening for the products that are made in India. These are few examples. These are not limiting. The data that I've shown here is not all. It's just few. So Uniken is one security product company which has got funding. There's been acquisitions and public listing. Quick Heal is the first Indian security company which has gone to IPO. So that's something that we should be proud about. And there are quite a few acquisitions that has happened. So for example, CyberRome has been acquired by Sophos, and there are quite a few others which has been acquired by international companies. There's a lot of R&D investment happening in India. So Qualys, Gurukul, Securonics has their R&D centers in India. And SOC, Security Operations happening, working out of India. At this point, I would like to say that there was a report that DSCI and KPMG just published in the BPM Summit, which did the survey of the GCC industry for secure in India. And the report very clearly says that the reason why the companies, GCCs, are coming to India, the topmost reason is because of talent and not necessarily cost arbitrage. So that was something that we should take away. The reason companies are coming to India is because of the talent that India possesses, and the more we make, the better. So cybersecurity framework, already RBI has come up with, similarly IRDA has come up with cybersecurity framework. So we are trying to see how we can advocate this with various banks, see what are ways that they could implement this in an efficient manner and could be measured. With respect to the SIs, so today, maybe if you look at 4-5 years back, the SI industry did not specifically have cybersecurity as a carved out horizontal. It could probably be along with their infrastructure practice, or it could be along with their application security practice. They would definitely be offering it, but they would not have had a separate group looking at it. Because of the growth that everybody sees now, most of the large SIs have a dedicated cybersecurity practice, which also gives their P&L, which reports its P&L for the company's results. There's product security work happening in India, so Siemens, ABB, there's Bosch, which does product security work in India. SMB awareness was a very important campaign, so all that is, we are looking at security adoption across the board. It's not just the large enterprises or limited to few. So SMB awareness was a very important activity that DSCI took up. So we worked very closely with Google and Lockheed Martin. With Lockheed Martin, we actually have courseware which is available on the web. So it's a virtual platform where people actually go understand what is internet, what is security, and what is it that they need to be aware of. So in fact, I was just thinking if we could make this data publicly available, then that would be a lot more beneficial. But today we have limited this data for an SMB consumption. With Google, we actually physically went to about 8 cities in India. We went to Delhi, Jaipur, Vadodara, Coimbatore, Guwahati, to name a few. And there were sessions done on cybersecurity awareness, and we also gave them what this IT Act is about and what is the security portion of the IT Act. Academia, the third pillar, which is so important in our whole activity. So academia, Government of India has come up with this program called ISEA, Information Security Education Awareness, where they have clearly told what is it that, how should undergrad course, a postgraduate course, and a PhD course be laid out in cybersecurity. So there are few colleges which have adopted this. So we would like a much wider range of adoption of this GOI program of ISEA. There are cybersecurity labs set up in IIT. There's quantum computing. Today, in Vinod, in his call, he was in his thing, he was mentioning about cryptography and all that stuff. So cryptography 256 AES, which we have today, will become nothing when quantum computing becomes a industry level use. Today, quantum computing is proving that they are able to crack AECS 256 in few seconds, not even minutes, few seconds. And that is in the lab environment, but once this becomes a reality, maybe 3-4 years down the line, then the whole way of how we look at securing our internet itself will become completely different. How we are doing cryptography, encryption will totally change. So there's a lot of work that is happening with IIT Delhi in that regard. Then these are again few colleges, I'm not limited everything. So Amity has some innovation agenda with them. And there are few universities which are offering PG and PhD programs on cybersecurity. So there is awareness program that is created across the board to ensure that we have cybersecurity. Okay, so what are the focus groups of industry development team? We've divided ourselves into these activities. Domestic market, which you saw. So what we do to an SI is very different to what we do for a GCC, and it will be very different to what we do to a PSU. It will be very different to what we do to a SMB. But the end result is to make sure that we become leaders. Each of these organizations become leaders in their respective spaces. Another initiative that we have is called as Use Case Clearinghouse. So Use Case Clearinghouse is a very interesting concept. This is again, we have taken after a lot of research with what is happening across the board. So use case clearinghouse is a mechanism to identify niche areas. In niche areas, it could be a user problem or it could be a much larger problem where you call in for the product development by calling the entrepreneurs, and you make sure that you have startups come in, entrepreneurs come in, and then develop the solution. So what this use case platform does is we give a collaboration platform where people can come in, define, give their use cases. There's a very proper way of defining these use cases. Then we throw out a nationwide challenge, application challenge, and whoever becomes the winner in that actually goes to develop the prototype, and then if the prototype becomes viable, it gets fabricated. So this is the complete use case clearinghouse program. The reason that this program has been put up is we would like to have the product happening as a, manufacturing life cycle. The use cases should just keep falling in, and then the products should keep getting developed. And this is an initiative where we are working with MeaTy. I'm sure very soon we might be getting a budget to roll this out. So this would be a fantastic platform for the whole ecosystem to actually contribute towards making so many software products in security. So that's the big initiative that we have here. So the plan is big. It's about 50 plus products we are planning to bring out. Then it will obviously help in capability building, improved employability, and of course increase the brand value of India. Clusters and SIZ. SIZ stands for Special Innovation Zone. This is an idea that we have actually taken in from across the world. And we did hear cyber is the fifth domain that we need to protect ourselves. So the nation doesn't get protected just with the 4 frontiers that are there. The 5th frontier, which is cyber, needs to get protected, and can't say more. And the country that is actually having very good technology in cybersecurity could say that they are better prepared to handle the war which is going to happen in the cyberspace, and that's going to be the war that's going to happen. The war is going to happen in the cyberspace. So the focus of the country to enable itself in cybersecurity cannot be stressed more. So be it for strategic importance, be it for economic growth, be it for safety of the nation, be it for a hub for cybersecurity entrepreneurship, be it for employment, all these 5 factors actually are essential to make sure that India becomes a leader in cybersecurity. So some of the countries that we have seen, some of you may know, Hague, HSD, is the most popularly known cybersecurity cluster that is there in the world. It's functioning very well. There are about 400 plus companies working in Hague. There are cybersecurity clusters in US, Israel, Germany, Canada, UK, and Australia. Each of these cybersecurity clusters have taken different mandate, and we from India have a mandate for our cybersecurity cluster, which I'll be telling you very soon. And most of these clusters have funding from the government happening. So if you look at US, there is a lot of funding coming from DARPA to develop products. And one of the products, I'm sure all of us know, FireEye, was actually done for the defense, and it is now a commercially viable product. And Israel, again, is a country where a lot of products which are developed from the companies are actually used for the Israel government, and then has now come in for a commercial use. So there's a lot of government investment that happens to make sure that cutting edge technology is done in cybersecurity space. So you have quite a few government investments in UK, US, and Australia. So what is it that we have in India? So we had today in the morning the IRS person talk about a lot of initiatives with Digital India, and Telangana also happens to be a state where DSCI I think the discussions are all over. We have already started work on the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. So people who want to know more about it can reach out to me later on. But the point is, government of Telangana has invested in Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. The 3 focus areas of this is innovation ecosystem, startup incubator, and capability building. So these are the 3 arms where DSCI would help the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence with the initial setup, and then it would be run by the Telangana government. Export market. So export market, we are seeing what is it that we could do for both the products and the services. So in terms of product, how we could take our delegations to the international venues, for example, take a few select startups to the Silicon Valley and see how we could, make them engage with the Silicon Valley's securities product companies. We help product companies participate in road shows and also help conducting hackathon. So these are something that we would like to do with the product company. With the services company, what we would like to do is we want to ensure that there is global attention that's brought about. So that is why the GCC report, which clearly tells why should anybody come to India to do cybersecurity. Then if you look at our SI offerings, most of it is actually implementation of product and probably maintenance which goes on from there. But to differentiate themselves, there are a lot of things that few of the cyber security services company have started is the value add products on top of their solution. Maybe today companies are looking at, if you look at the typical monitoring that we have, the L3 level monitoring of the security network level products, there are quite a few companies investing on how we can automate it, how we can have bots for the L3 level monitoring. And there are companies which are giving this as value adds today. So it may not be happening at the L3 level analyst, you cannot automate it, but definitely L1 level monitoring, there are quite a few solutions that we could bring about. So what we would like to do with the SIs is actually if the SI is particularly interested in a specific area and there's already a product which is having some work in that, we would do the connect where they could start working together going on from there. And of course, help in capability building. And we have taken embassies, we have taken delegates to Netherlands, UK, Israel. We had a startup meet where we took the delegates to Singapore. And we are also working actively engaging with embassies. So we are working with Netherlands, Israel, US, Australia, France, Finland. So all of this to give an exposure to the Indian product and services companies so that we expand our global footprint. Quickly going on to the skills development. So as we said, we have a need to develop about 1 million security skilled professionals. So first and foremost is we are working with the NASSCOM SSC, which is called Sectorial Skill Council, to come up with courses which could be deployed across. So anybody coming out, there are about 10 courses that are there. The next slide will tell you about the 10 courses. So anybody, if they say that I am, a NASSCOM SSC qualified qualified certificate holder of a network security, he or she would have the required amount of skills. But today, that kind of uniformity is not there. If a person coming from probably a product company who is a network specialist has a much different knowledge than coming from an SI who's the same guy who's doing a network L3 type of an activity. So this kind of a thing creates a uniform platform to say, in India, if somebody is saying he or she is a network analyst, his skill will be the same across the board. So this is one way of scaling that we have already started work on. We are working with Microsoft on their CSR program where they want to educate women in security. And we are actually looking at women students from engineering colleges in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And this program is being run in conjunction with CDAC. So CDAC will do the training of the identified 500 people and DSCI would help in their placement. So we also did the nationwide campaign on digital payment security that we did, and we have the nationwide campaign on overall cybersecurity skill is work in progress, which would soon be releasing that. So these are few things that we are doing at the skill end. And these are the qualification packs that are available. You could go to the DSCI website, all of this is available. So today there are about 10 qualification packs that are available. And the intention is we would like more and more training companies to adopt this. We would like the universities to adopt this so that we have very well qualified cybersecurity skilled professionals. This is something of interest. I'm sure all the people who are in the services industry can adopt. I'm sure all of the organizations are trying to create their career roadmap or career roles. What should be the roles for cybersecurity people? So there's extensive work that has happened. So we've created roles for the cybersecurity people. There are about 10 dimensions that is there. So actually, since it's a white-collar kind of a job, so it only starts with level 6. NSQF is National Skills Qualification Framework. So if you follow that framework, it's from level 6 to level 10 is what is applicable for our security skilled people. So if you look at it, so network security management, if you take, then you have the analyst. You have the network security engineer, you have the analyst, then you have the consultant NetSec, then you have an architect NetSec, and he could go on to become a director consulting. So that's the kind of role map that has been defined, which could be adopted by organizations across in India. And then we do have our research organization and the branding organization. Nothing much can happen without the branding, so it is important to create brand India, made in India value, make secure in India kind of a thing. So there'll be a lot of initiatives and efforts happening in that direction. So what is it that we all should do? We should focus our attention to technology. And since digitization is happening everywhere, security should be brought in all those discussions. Innovation budget, we would like to see some amount of innovation budget in organizations focus on cybersecurity innovation. We would like deliberation of people on use cases, co-create security technology, have the requisite skills that are needed for cybersecurity industry, attract investment in cybersecurity industry, help in security startup, incubate security startup, develop ecosystem for security entrepreneurship, and create brand in India for security. So these are few of the initiatives that we have as part of the industry development team. Thank you so much.